Spawning. Up here in the top left position. Give it up for our red Terran player. He is BYUN. And his opponent. Down here in the bottom, representing the blue corner. This is BYUN. This is Cure. Great start, Passer. Great start. But this is going to be gearing up to be an excellent TVT series. These guys are probably the most aggressive Terran players that you will ever see. And if I recall correctly, this is a rematch from the King of Battles tournament last year for 2020. Another Alpha X event that went exceptionally well. And I'm sure these guys are just itching to beat each other's teeth in, as we already see Cure going for a very aggressive 2 Reaper opening with that additional racks. BYUN is going for a more standard factory timing here. He's even got that additional gas just to make sure. BYUN wasn't in King of Battle? Oh, excuse me. I'm thinking of Dream. And never mind. Darn, I had a whole storyline ready for that thought point here. But anyway, Cure will get that additional Reaper out. It looks like he's going to switch immediately into Marine production. And as for a factory, he still does not have one down. Now, in TVT especially, you do need to have a little bit of a tech advantage here. You know, it's really important to get your factory up, your Stargate up. You need to be very active out on the map, as the more active Terran player will be the one to kind of take a lot of different advantages. But here we go. The Reaper's going to be about to jump their way in. They will meet a Hellion right off the bat, but just going to dive right on top of that one. He loses one, and oh my goodness, that was about as bad as it could get for Cure's Reapers. And now this is going to allow BYUN a lot of room to breathe around the map. He won't be able to get into the natural because of the Marines at the top. But still, if Cure wants to move out from here, he's not going to really be able to very efficiently. Reaper does get out of there for the time being, still getting hunted down, but it gets a full scout of BYUN's base before dying. And it looks like BYUN's going to be going for a bit of a 1-1-1 timing push here, as we see that first medevac coming out. The siege tank as well going to be going to get pumped out very, very quickly here. Cure, though, will catch that first Hellion, making the attack just a little bit lower. And it's actually going to force BYUN to kind of move back a little bit. But yeah, BYUN going to be looking for a good position to engage into. It looks like Cure is expecting a drop play. So he's going to bring all of his units back to the main base. And that will actually allow BYUN to get a little bit closer. Oof, that might be a little bit of a positioning issue for Cure, but BYUN not going to take advantage of it, actually. Going to go straight home. I'm a little bit not upset about that decision, but I do think he lost a very good opportunity to do some damage and to kind of put a soft contain on Cure, who, by the way, does have stim pack much, much quicker, does have that +1, and is producing just a little bit quicker than BYUN right now, who is only just now adding on those additional racks. Ooh, but now gonna kind of rectify himself a little bit. Gets that siege tanks in a beautiful position. Does he have the vision? No, just a little bit further away than he would hope. As they do focus fire down. One Marine a little bit too far. Cure's got a big drop ready to go. And now BYUN will back off. Yeah, the positioning wasn't the best on those siege tanks, and that kind of hurt him a little bit. He didn't really get any damage done. And now Cure is going to take advantage of his superior production here, dropping all of these Marines. And so many SCVs are falling. It is an absolute bloodbath. The Raven doing what it can, but those auto turrets are stationary. In terms of those upgrades, that +1 is just about to kick in, so these guys are going to be even harder to dislodge. Not going to get the engineering bay, though. Small graces. Small things. Oh, my goodness. You know, a lot of people say that mules can be very overpowered. In this situation, I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. As we do see, once again, finding that little bit of an angle behind the engineering base. Gonna go straight for that. Cancels his own upgrades because of that. But in the main base, the siege tanks are down, denying mining on the third base. Cure just really has BYUN's number. And the... Oh my goodness, this is about as bad as it could get for our rebellious Terran. Yeah, you know what? Cure is saying, hey, it's working so far. Might as well keep it going. Siege tank's gonna wail away on that third base for as long as humanly possible. He has his own up. Just gotta give it a little bit of time to mine. But now Cure's gonna get out of there with a good majority of his army. Like, that's so many siege tanks. That's so many reinforcements as well. BYUN has nothing in the main base. Oh my goodness. This is about to get from bad to worse. As BYUN is just sending these scouts out all over the place, but the one place the drop is right inside his main base. He is desperately trying to get that additional production up. But the siege tanks are down. The Raven only has one lockdown, and he only uses it on the one in the back. So that siege tank in the front gets a huge connection off. So, Lightshade. I was kind of describing it in our last series, letting you guys know that it is a shorter rush distance, which does mean that the kind of play styles that happen in a TVT, those kind of committed pushes, the parade pushes, have a lot more power. So on this map especially, it is very important to cover all your angles. Keep a couple of siege tanks just back at home while you move out, so that you don't get caught completely off guard. TVT is just that big positional gameplay. Out of the 3 mirror matchups, it is the one that relies on positioning the most. Now we are going to see pretty much the same thing coming out. The definition of a mirror matchup. Cure just going to be like half a second faster on that factory. Not the biggest of deals, to be completely honest, but you know, those kind of things do add up. And get some questions in the chat. Yes, it is a best of 7. So the first of 4 will take home the lion's share of the prize pool, which you guys can make bigger by hitting up that Matcherino page. APSUS9 is the code, and that will add a free 50 cents to the prize pool. Doesn't cost you a single thing. BYUN, though, is going to be very aggressive with these Reapers. Even just going to add on that reactor so he can drop down 2 at a time, which will keep him far ahead of Cure in that regard, as Cure is going for a bit of an aggressive push out here himself. A couple of additional Reapers and some Hellions going to be coming in as he gets his natural in. But, yeah, everything else is pretty on the nose mirrored here, as Cure going to be denying that natural for just a little bit of time. Always hate to see that, or love to see it, depending on who you're rooting for. Good positioning on the high ground, really playing into Star Wars theme there. And looks like we are going to have that starport down, so we should be seeing a Raven. More than likely, I don't think that he will make a Banshee. And yeah, just what it's coming down to is, I said earlier on, having the factory down just a little bit slower isn't the biggest of deals. But you can kind of see that BYUN is a little bit more than a few seconds behind with getting that tech lab down. So his Raven is going to take a little bit more time. And because of that, it's going to have a little bit less energy for the engagement. And that's where it kind of starts to add up. Now, we do see pretty much siege tanks, Ravens, a small build-up here from both sides. Looks like Cure is ahead in terms of that worker count here, just 35 to 32. 25 on the army count as he moves out with this small smattering of units. BYUN looking for an angle to kind of break his way in there, but with the Cyclone, he's just not going to be able to do so. Although it looks like he's going to have to try now, as the Cyclone did lock on. Gets a really good engagement right there. Does Cure. And there is BYUN's map presence absolutely gone. And you can kind of see BYUN, he's playing very defensive. He is so worried about those drops. All his Marines are geared up for them. He's got that Cyclone to catch any medevacs that come his way. He is playing a little bit scared, I gotta say. Now Cure is going to be moving out, and he does have that double Raven to lock down those siege tanks in the front. If you can get down here to the low ground and lock those down, that is going to be a fantastic way to kind of just, you know, crush through. In terms of BYUN, he does have 2 Ravens of his own. But kind of just taking a look at everything that's going on, Cure is steadily increasing his lead. The one thing BYUN has going for him, though, is his stim pack is so much quicker. And here we go, the first big engagement. The Raven will go down for BYUN. The second one is going to fall as well. And oh my goodness, Cure just gets about the best engagement that you can. So now he's just going to bounce his way through. There is no lockdown available, but those siege tanks don't have any support. The SCVs are pulled to defend, but I think Cure just says, haha, I am done with this one. Let's move on to game number 3, my lead. Oh my goodness, BYUN being caught almost with his pants down in that situation as that last siege tank falls. Cure. And you know what? I think I figured it out for Cure's name, you know, because obviously to have a cure, you need to have a sickness. I think his line of thinking is that when his opponent has too many units, it really hurts his health. You know, he's probably thinking about Warcraft 3, where if you guys remember, it costs income, an upkeep cost when you have a lot of units. So Kier's just going to just really looking out for his fellow man and healing him of that redundancy, making sure that they don't have to pay their hard-earned money. Unfortunately, we got to tell him that that's not the case in StarCraft 2. You know, it doesn't cost any money to have that many units, but you know what? If it keeps getting us good games, I think we can let it slide. The SCV did have the opportunity to get in and get a little bit more information, but not really going to take it. As we do see a little bit of a change up here from these guys. BYUN going for the much faster factory, while Kier gonna just, you know, get the safer economic style here, dropping down the bunker just in case. He's gonna feel pretty safe. And honestly, on Oxide, I think that is, like, this build isn't as powerful because there's not really that many opportunities to get in. He's going to try, though, as we do see the Hellions kind of just dancing around looking for any sort of proxy build. He wants to make sure that Cure didn't drop down like a factory going for, God forbid, a Thor proxy. When's the last time we saw that in a pro game? But one thing I'm liking about Cure is that his Marine production has been on top of things right now, so he will have enough units to deflect on both angles, although there is only one Marine in that bunker, so he will have to sacrifice the low ground expansion for a little bit. One good volley on the ramp as well is going to take those Marines down a notch. Looks like the Reaper will get in, though, and do a little bit of poking of his own. The Marine's going to try and deflect that. It's 28 to 28. In terms of that worker count, the Reaper did get cleaned up on this side. And looks like Curious going to just now look to close this one out with the Cyclone. We'll get a pretty good engagement. Okay, so getting delayed just a little bit. He's still ahead in terms of those worker counts. Dropping a couple of mules just to kind of take a look at that income. The mules are going to start to kick in here in just a couple of seconds. But the Banshee is going to be very interesting here. BYUN is prepared for it, and it does not have... It does not have Cloak, and Cloak will not be on the way anytime soon, as Kira is going to use that extra gas to go straight for the Raven. Scan going to go down, revealing pretty much the setup here. He will get a free Marine kill as well. Has to be a little bit careful. Yeah, taking a couple too many shots to the face on that one. That Cyclone will have to go home and repair. Kind of take a look at the state of things right now. It looks like BYUN is the one who wants to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of kind of making sure that he's out on the map. But hold that thought as the Banshee does come in, gets past the Cyclone, and we'll get 3-4 kills so far. All right, a beautiful little engagement right there, denying so much mining time off of BYUN's bases. Getting 6 kills as well, as it looks like BYUN is going to get ready to move out, however, as the siege tanks are not sieged up. I think he will move once the CC has finished. I'm going to try and get the Raven as well with that Cyclone very far forward. Not going to be able to get it this time. And, yeah, you got to be careful as BYUN, because losing that Raven was the big thing that lost him that last game. without the lockdowns, without the support. He just was not able to stop the forward momentum of Cure there. And we do see Cure is set up as this army moves out. There is nothing back at home. Ooh. Yeah, that has the potential to do quite a bit of work. Already, those SCVs are pulled away. 5 of them going down. BYUN still not in position, ready to go with this either. So this is just giving time for Cure to drop down his extra siege tanks in the backfield and be ready to go. You know what? I don't even think he needs to get out of here, which is good because he lost the medevac. For 11 drone... I'll get it right the third time. For 1 medevac, killing off 11 SCVs, that was totally worth it here. And Cure just a little bit slower on the launch there. The lockdowns do come in. So Cure taking the worst part of the engagement this time. Oh, you got to kill off that siege tank, though. He's not focus firing it down, so it will survive. That is a little bit of an issue, as he does not have the siege tanks in range. Cure can repair that up, and that stops the... Never mind. I thought it wasn't in range there. I don't know what happened with that. But now BYUN has air control. He has the vision. And he is going to be able to kind of just leapfrog his way forward a little bit more, forcing Cure to burn through his scans. One of those Vikings will drop, as he really just desperately needs to gain some of that air control, as BYUN going for a very soft contain. And by soft contain, I mean this is pretty hard contain. I love this, though. You know what? This can be utterly fantastic. Cure is just going to drop behind this, draw away some of the fire away from those siege tanks. Will it be enough as he catches the reinforcements? Stim has been complete for a bit of time, so he will be able to catch all of those. Now BYUN's going to have to win this with what he's got. The Liberator does siege up on top of this. The Marines, oh, they did not get done what they needed to get done, but the third base is completely under threat here. The SCVs are pulled, but it's a little bit late for that. You know, the siege tanks are up. You kind of got to catch them while they are not ready to go. Now, Cure, I think from here, he's got to pull these units back. He's got to hold on. He's got to clear this out soon. Oh, he can't even really lift up his natural because the Vikings in the sky will help out in destroying that. Trying to get on top of the Liberator. He will sacrifice a lot for that. The drop right on top of the siege tanks, though, and he will finally be able to clean that up. BYUN taking a 10 worker supply lead. He has a 20 army supply lead as well, so this counterattack from Cure won't really get too much done. But once again, it's going to come down to positioning on these units. It looks like Cure is going to go for the position that gets you straight into the main base here, just rotating around, looking for the opening. But this is a very scary army, just waiting in the natural. I think the biggest problem for Cure right now is that this Viking count is a little bit too heavy. Kills off 3 of them, though. That is a good start. But he's not going to be able to regain that air control so easily. Mainly because he's not even trying. No Vikings on the way. Trying to bait those Marines in, as we did have a drop already loaded up heading towards Cure's base. Both sides, or actually right now Cure has established his third down there on the low ground. So if he can keep that up, that's a little bit of an economic advantage since BYUN is not mining off his own third. Mainly because it's in his main base. But again, it comes down to that air control. Just not really being there for Cure. It's making it so difficult for him to move in. And he's actually just going to decide to retreat with that army, the Liberator, getting a couple of kills in the natural, I believe. Not going crazy. There was a Liberator, right? Yes, there was. But 8 more workers going down. So now we get to that part of a TVT where you can't just drop, you can't just hope for the best anymore. You have to be a lot more positional, a lot more decisive with your move outs. And we can already see Cure knows that he has to keep the pressure on BYUN's side of the map to keep himself safe. And just going to be rotating around, looking for that angle. BYUN just going to say, you know what? You want to go around me? I don't care. I'm gonna gear up. I'm either going to be able to get around you, or I'm going to completely surround your army and take you out that way. BYUN still has this drop just being super duper effective here. Cure down over 40 supply in the meantime here. Takes a big volley, but it doesn't even matter because those upgrades are just absolutely fantastic. 2-2 with no ship weapons at all. He's lost the natural, so BYUN, I think, is death by 1,000 cuts. Rushing through Cure here, even losing this drop, not going to be the biggest issue for him as Cure finally cleans it up. 28 workers going down, and he is still not done. The extra factory gets destroyed. Things are just getting worse and worse for Cure. BYUN seeing that coming, but now Cure is just hoping for a Hail Mary right now as he's up there on the potential 4th base location. BYUN gets the scan off of it, though. We'll see where this army is coming. He's sieged up. He's got that air control once again. And Cure will have to back on out. So from here, there is a slight chance that Cure gets back into it. But the only way he can really do that is if BYUN walks head first into some siege tanks. Which, I mean, technically he just did. But one other caveat on that, those siege tanks have to be sieged up. Like, that is a pretty big factor in that. And Cure's still down a base, remember. He lost his natural. So having to re-establish that as BYUN trying to take his 4th base here. The Vikings just crushing through the medevacs here. Maybe going a little bit too far forward with it, but it doesn't even matter as BYUN going to dive right on top of this. The Marine count, though, plummets for him. Cure is down to 75 supply. But you know what? He's established himself here, and the air control has been completely reset. He's going to feel good enough. The split is great. And you know what? He's actually able to kill off this location. That's the main base. Oh, man. Cure slowly but surely making his way back into this. The upgrades are still equal for him. BYUN, though. He kind of recognizes, okay, I can't let him retake a lead here. I need to go kind of show him who's really ahead. Takes a big volley right there, but now the medevac's going to be healing this up. He's going to lose the orbital command. And he brought his entire army home. Those siege tanks so far in the red. BYUN being very careful not to overextend. But Kira just going to say, okay, up here in the top position, rocking the blue trunks. He is BYUN. And boxing from the red corner. He stumbled a little bit, but his right hook is still incredibly strong. He is Cure. You know what? I didn't want to say anything about that, but you are definitely correct. Upgrading the armor, first of all. Not really what you want to be doing. I think you definitely do want to be getting that attack upgrade first. It's just a little bit more potent. You know, because if you can't kill your opponent, then defense against them isn't really going to mean too much. Now, I know you guys have seen this by now. I've literally focused the camera on it for like 30 seconds. We've got a 2 racks on the way. BYUN going to be following it up with his own 2 racks. This is a little bit unorthodox here. But the key advantage for BYUN, his rally point is in his own base. He has that additional gas income. He has 4 more workers because he was prioritizing getting those out. And so Kira's going to be playing a little bit of catch-up there in order to make that work. This first Reaper going to see exactly what's going on. And now it's all a matter of just keeping your Reapers back, building up that critical mass, and breaking out. He's going to have the factory a lot quicker as well. So, I think he's going to be perfectly fine, to be completely honest. Even getting a really good shots off. Gets that first Reaper away from Cure. And that's really what you cannot do here. BYUN is the king of Reapers, remember. He is the one who made Blizzard nerf the Reaper. So trying to go Reapers against him is probably the worst idea in the world. Yeah, and there you go. But in a way, it looks like we're not going to have anything too crazy popping out on either side. 2,000 atmospheres is a much larger map. But I think for tank positional play, this is going to be a really good one. Because obviously, just like Oxide, you have the positions over there. You have these nice little wall-off spots for tanks right there near that third base. You got the high ground rocks for the defense. This is literally a positional player's dream. As we do see both sides do have that additional gas, so both are going to be going for the factory openings. This is about the quintessential mirror matchup right now. Now, yeah, we're going to see a small little power-up period as BYUN just going to be changing things up just a little bit. He's going to have the... that reactor coming in so he can just get out 2 Reapers at the same time. The Hellion as well. Looks like Cure's just going to skip that step, get the Reapers with a Cyclone to stay a little bit safer in that regard. So yeah, just like small stylistic choices right now. Oh, I didn't know you could actually get up right there. The Reapers do get in. Get 2 SCV kills very, very quickly, delaying that supply depot from going down. That is pretty much a really crucial supply depot right there. 3 workers as well will fall. The repair gonna chew up some of BYUN's minerals, and he still hasn't restarted the... Oh no. Okay. So not gonna get supply blocked, but delaying himself just a little bit right there. as he's going to be moving across the map and going to have a little bit of an unfortunate surprise waiting for him with that Cyclone. Let's see what he can get done. The first lock on, going to get on top of the Hellion. KD8 charge is going to go down on the ramp, only getting one SCV. So now he will back on out. He'll just try and stay out on the map a little bit. But my goodness, he has actually invested quite a bit into this early game. Here we go, gonna get dive right on top of the Cyclone. He gets rid of all the Hellions. Only one Cyclone going down. The second one will be enough to hold on. Gonna go for a little bit of a drop as well here. That is gonna be pretty nice. As BYUN's Marine count isn't really that good right now. He's only got 4 on the field since he did invest so heavily into the Raven or Reapers early on. Looks like he's going to try and get in, but the siege tank is in the spot that it needs to be. Cyclone dropping on down, so BYUN will have to pull away these SCVs for just a little bit. The auto turret will be necessary as well. He will deflect it without taking too much damage. Now, Cure making a little bit of an error here, pulling off those SCVs for such a long time to kill the Reapers. Even though he only lost 2 of them, the fact that they were not mining for so long is pretty important. There's a Cyclone. Gonna try and get a lock on. Kira has a little bit more health, so if he could get the lock on that Cyclone, that would be nice. But still just being a little bit of a nuisance, tearing BYUN's attention away, keeping it at home. And Kira just kind of building up behind this. So now both sides are just kind of powering up. BYUN trying to keep his presence out. He's only on 69 to 82 though, so a 10 supply difference. A 10 worker difference as well, so that is a pretty big deal. Mules can be pretty good, but in a mirror matchup, they're kind of mitigated, removed there. Yeah, Kira just going to be able to kind of keep his forces forward, make sure that BYUN can't really move in. The one thing I do like that BYUN is kind of changing up from the Oxide game, though, he's getting the Vikings. He's making sure that he does kind of keep some semblance of air presence to make sure that he can engage into this. Looks like the Cyclone going to go for a little bit of a poke as well. Gets a lot of health out of that siege tank. BYUN, I don't think, really wants to engage with this either. He's kind of just posturing. Yeah, he's not really sieged up. I'm a little bit worried about that, you know? In TVT especially, it can be, like, real talk. TVT is one of those matchups where it's not necessarily coin flipping, but it's one of those matchups where you can have a huge lead, and then something can go very, very wrong very, very quickly. But here we go. BYUN trying to get on top of the units before they even are able to siege up. He doesn't really have a large Marine count, though. Looks like the Vikings for Cure will land the siege tanks, though. Never sieging up on either side. So I think BYUN gets a little bit of a better trade in that regard, but he has no Marines. Yeah, he's got 8 Marines to 21 of Cure, so now Cure gonna go for a bit of a soft contain on this location. Scan's gonna go down, revealing the army on both sides. But now Cure gonna reposition himself. Oh my goodness, those siege tanks are in the absolute wrong spot. So now the siege tanks of Cure gonna go right on top of the natural. Now BYUN does have his +1 attack and his +1 armor finished on these Marines. They will take a little bit of an additional volley, but the SCV line is going down. Absolute carnage on this contain. 8 more workers going down. BYUN is falling further and further behind. Even getting supply block, BYUN knows that he has to clean this up here and now, but with a 50 army supply lead, Cure takes the game. And you know what? These guys are definitely legends in their own right, as we see him once again going for that kind of mirrored build strategy here. I think we're going to see the biggest point of contention being right here. Another 7. Oh my goodness, I don't know what the star balloons are, but the fact that they are so big means that they are really, really cool. And as you're spamming that, it looks like BYUN's going to be spamming this SCV's move command here, just looking any way that he can make his way in to this base. But on his own side of things, we'll see him drop down that reactor, and from there, just kind of, kind of just power up. In fact, gonna get that second Reaper out before he drops the reactor. That's kind of interesting, just based off the positioning of his buildings. Oh, wow. Yeah, so thank you so much, man. 2,100 Korean won. That is absolutely cool. Now, now we do see kind of just this, nothing really too much to say, just this slow build-up from both sides as they get the Reapers ready to go, the Hellions ready to jump in. I'd like this from Cure, just getting that Widowmine. Not only can he use it offensively, he can just use it to keep himself safe, as there's not really a way for any sort of Reapers to come in on the map. You know, you kind of got this deceleration zone. I don't think they can get in from there. So, yeah, just placing that down will keep him completely on the up and up. Alright, we're starting to deviate a little bit. The Cyclone just a little bit further behind from Cure. We should see the Ravens start to pump out from both sides. No scouting has really happened for both sides. You can kind of see this is the culmination of years of cartographers in the StarCraft 2 universe. Still so much left to explore. As we see, it looks like BYUN's going to be the first one to kind of push the limits. You know, probably just still trying to figure out the map a little bit. It is still relatively new, so there's still a lot of little nuances for these guys to figure out. But yeah, both sides just powering up. We should see the third CC go down relatively soon. In terms of worker supply, dead even at 30. Oop. Whoops. Sorry about that. A little bit of a lag spike right there. Don't worry, I don't think the players actually felt it. But yeah, in terms of worker supply, 41 to 41, 30 to 31 army supply. And yeah, Scan's going to go down, revealing, hey, I have nothing to worry about. You're still in your base. You're not moving out on the map. And if you do, I'm going to try and punish you with it, for it. Now the big difference, and this is kind of the thing. Cure will have that air presence since his Vikings are out so much quicker. He will be able to take control of the map a little bit since BYUN is a little bit behind in that regard. Yeah, but here we go. The fight going to happen around the acceleration zone. BYUN already rallied up. He gets a huge volley right there. And Cure has to go back with his tail between his legs. And now BYUN is going to slowly start to inch his way forward. I don't think Cure is going to fall for it, though. I wouldn't mind doing his best to get through that deceleration zone. But now we have a little bit of a Mexican standoff between these guys. BYUN trying to open up another attack path. If he can kill off these rocks, he can actually drop a couple of siege tanks right there and just, like, really surround your opponent very, very quickly. Now Cure just hanging out at the bottom of his ramp. He does have his third CC ready to go. He should drop that on location pretty soon. Question is, where is he going to do so? As we see BYUN taking the more aggressive third base location right there in the front. While Cure is going to be coming in here. The Raven gets locked on, but the Vikings will now drop. The missile turret war is absolutely phenomenal. So much banked up energy there. He will lose the Ravens for it, but no real response from BYUN. The Vikings are still down, and he loses the factory. Oh my goodness. So Cure did sacrifice air presence to make this work. He didn't get that many SCVs, but getting rid of the siege tank builder means that every single one is super precious to BYUN now, meaning that he will not want to risk losing them. And look at that, Cure even just going to open up the same attack path up here in the top. Scan's going to go down all over the place trying to find out where they are. And Cure just going to be rotating around his opponent, the Vikings, inching the way around, just trying to make sure that it's nothing too crazy here. But BYUN is still not moving from this location. Oh no, he's about to get flanked pretty darn badly as well. Okay, really late on the unsiege right there. Cure taking the high ground. And now BYUN is cut off from his natural. Oh my goodness, an absolute decimation here. 10, 15 workers going down. More are just falling insanely quick. The siege tanks of BYUN are not helping out, and all the Vikings had to be dropped. Even though he sacrifices these Marines, they have done exactly what they need to do. A little bit sloppy right there, losing the Marines for almost free, but I think Cure is about to start running away with this one. The Vikings are completely out of position, and these siege tanks are pretty much just bait. As Cure going to be making his way in, drops on top of the SCVs, using the friendly fire damage against them. The Vikings once again are launched, but 8 more workers going down. Cure is starting to run away with that supply gap. And even the Vikings landing right here don't even get too many of the Marines. He will be finally able to clean that up. But take a look at that. Cure already has his next army ready to go. Unit count 21 to 26, with he is within spitting distance of BYUN. And look at this. Okay, never mind. One thing to note is that Cure is not remaking any siege tanks right now. He's dropping his second factory and getting the upgrades. But he's still... Yeah, but he's starting to fall behind in terms of that siege tank count. He does have map control, though. The Viking count of BYUNs have been reset, which means that Cure can do exactly what he loves to do. Go for the big doom drop. BYUN is completely out of position. A good spread will clean up the front, but he is going to have to dive back into his main base as his production is almost completely forfeit here. The starport goes down. No more medevacs. Sieging up on the low ground. Cure doesn't care. You know, as long as he keeps the medevacs alive, he can afford to kind of trade out that marine count slightly. As we kind of see, he's a bit ahead in terms of that production. His +2 is just about to kick in. He's on 4 bases. He's got to be feeling pretty. And BYUN, he's not out of it just yet. Like I said, TVT is one of those things where you could be super far ahead, and then another second later, you just die. So I have to keep an eye out for that. Oh, the missile turret wall will be complete. Those medevacs just a little bit too low to dive in there. But, yeah, now a defensive position. We are back to the stalemate, ladies and gentlemen. Who is feeling froggy first, and who will jump? I think the biggest problem for these guys is they're not taking advantage of the map as well as they should. This reminds me of Golden Wall in a way from early Legacy of the Void, where you do have the potential to kind of just dive around, pull your opponent apart piece by piece, because most of the attention, as you can kind of see, is focused on that. This big area right between the bases. Now, Cure is starting to kind of recognize I don't have to attack from that one direction, and he will rotate around, getting on the high ground where there is a siege tank in place. A little bit slow to the siege up, but BYUN will be fighting outside of that range. Cure just doesn't have enough Marines. But oh yeah, let's take a look at that. 33 Marines going down to the 26 of BYUN. And now Cure just taking, just continuously rotating around. He has control of the high ground. These Marines are essentially bait to force BYUN into a bad engagement. The missile turret will go down. Now BYUN is going to have to burn quite a few scans in order to clean this up. Good positioning, though. Like, I gotta say, he's keeping the Marines with the siege tank, making sure that Cure can't drop on top of them. And now with the missile turret wall in his main base, the threat of that doom drop has been significantly decreased. BYUN getting ready for the next stage of the game as well, switching into Mass Raven Viking. As a big fight going down right here. Cure has the upgrade lead. The +3 still not kicking in for BYUN. His supply will plummet a little bit. And that's a little bit risky because he is banking up quite a few minerals to be able to afford the Raven transition. The Liberators in the sky going to clean up the siege tank wall. Gotta be careful not to go too far forward. But yeah, this is a really hard position to say who is fully ahead, because these guys are trading out almost blow for blow. If we take a look at the units lost graph, just about 1,000 or even less than 1,000 mineral difference between these two. Scans just all over the place. I mean, no real point not to use them as BYUN. Trying to take that rich mineral field right there. The Liberator does find a little bit of damage. 2 workers going down. The biggest problem now for Cure is that he's got to get around the Raven Wall, but hold that thought as he cleans up the siege tank line. The third base is under threat now. But then again, it does come down to the Ravens having tons of lockdown available to them. He will get cleaned up here, and I think, yeah, Cure is trying to transition into it, but BYUN has a significant lead now. Cure, though, recognizes that he does need to essentially keep the pressure on BYUN's side of the map. Make sure that BYUN can't take advantage of the fact that he does have that Reaper advantage, or Raven advantage. And he's doing a phenomenal job of it. You know, the siege tanks have to stay at home. He's rotating around, making sure that he's constantly unsieging and re-sieging. And slowly building up his own Raven count. So now Kior going to get a couple of good volleys off. He does have +3 vehicle weapons on his tanks, so they are doing massive amounts of damage. But BYUN getting a little bit of a better trade there. The Dorito cannon going on in. Making sure that Kior can't engage into this anytime soon. I mean, it's a good shot off right there, making sure that siege tanks do go down. Trying to deny some mining, but there isn't really any mining going on up here. Yeah, nothing really too much to say about this. We'll see them kind of start to split off small counts of Marines, start to trade those out to build up their air army. Let's see the Viking count for both sides. It's actually fairly even. The biggest thing for BYUN is just the fact that he has 13 Ravens. Try to click on one. Oh my goodness. 13 Ravens means that, yeah, I don't think Cure is really going to be able to engage that anytime soon, but he's going to try. Dorito cannons going down for both sides. Looks like BYUN does have a little bit of an armor upgrade advantage for the meantime. Ship weapons is about to kick in as well. But to his credit, he is going to back off just a little bit. Radio cannons going down once again, hitting the Vikings, making any sort of engagement a little bit harder. You know what? I wish it was Seeker missiles back. If that was Seeker missiles, I think the engagement would be a little bit more fun to watch. But anti-armor missile is fun too, as we see Cure slowly inching his way forward, building up that missile turret wall as he drops the siege tanks in. Why don't they take the 12 and 6 o'clock? I think at this point, they're not really too concerned about their mineral count. And on top of that, those are very difficult to kind of hold, so it's not really worth the investment to get them. But hold that thought as Kira going to move his way up the ramp, get rid of the siege tanks. And there's not really too much on the ground here, so he will be able to crush through the missile turret walls. And now the gold expansion is under threat. Now Kira, though, is getting forced back. The Dorito cannon on both sides is still going strong. The Marine count just a little bit higher for Kira, I think. But BYUN taking about a 12 army supply lead. Now the Ravens don't really have too much support, so they will be just dropping those auto turrets as they retreat. You can kind of see Kira was trying to take the 12 o'clock expansion. If he can secure that, I think it would be great, but kind of taking a look at the income here for both sides. You know, they're not really able to build up a bank. They're not really able to justify spending the minerals on those bases, but here we go again. The Viking count has been severely diminished for Cure. It's currently on 12 to 21. At that point, you don't even bother trying to remake them. You just drop down a couple of Thors and hope that the anti-armor missile does well. This is the Great Wall of Siege Tank. I almost think this looks like a Brood War game, you know? Where we just have two armies slowly inching forward, not really engaging into each other. But here we go. As I say that, BYUN engages into this, dives on top, crushes through the siege tank line, and is rebuffed once again. And now Kira getting a little bit of a better trade, almost losing a lot to the siege tank fire. 6 Vikings at a time. These guys are just trying to reclaim that lead for as long as possible. Now all the attention is shifting up to this base. I think honestly, if someone wanted to take that spot, they very well could, because so much attention is being brought up here to the top. And getting a little bit anxious with these Vikings as well. There is a lot of health gone on them, so you got to be careful for the fresh reinforce. Planetary Fortress is not mining, it's just soaking up minerals at this point. Kier did try to send a drop-off, but it didn't really work for him too well. Here we go, another anti-armor missile coming on in. Getting rid of some of the Ravens, just focus firing them down is Cure. If you can get rid of the Raven count, BYUN isn't really remaking them in any stretch. But you still got to be careful, because that is still so many Vikings. And you know what? Both sides are still broke. You know, they took out student loans a while ago to pay for this extravagant lifestyle of Siege Tank Raven. But there you go. Kier is going to be able to take a pretty good engage right there with that anti-armor missile. And as well, he's going to rotate around here. Get in between. Maybe look for a quick pick-off right there. And now going to try and get between the mineral lines. We'll be able to do so. So this orbital is going to go down. BYUN not really reacting as well as he should. No Marines are coming over to defend this. So he loses that base. We'll lose some of these supply depots as well. The anti-armor missile gonna help him clean it up. But hey, 5 workers going down. I gotta say, the biggest thing for Cure is that he is on 81 workers right now. The Ravens being a little bit too aggressive. BYUN getting a little bit impatient. So he will continuously keep losing them. And even though he's replacing them, they are a ways off. Cure, once again, just going to say, I'm going to send these Marines across to get rid of all the Ravens. And they don't even need to engage right there. They've done their job. Gotta be careful, though, not to run into the siege tanks and lose them for free. Oh, my goodness. This game, I think, is longer than the entire series as a whole. Look at that. BYUN dropping so many mules. Like, he knows he's got to do something. He knows he has to establish some sort of extra income there, and that's why he's dropping so many mules there. As these guys are starting to run out of money. Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Cure is he did spend a ton of money repairing that planetary fortress, so it never really paid for itself. As it looks like we're going to see a shift in the battle once again, as Cure rotating his forces down to the middle position. The defenses there seeming a little bit scarcer than they were. You know, just one siege tank. The income graph. Sure, you sure can. Take a look at that income advantage. You can see where the mules have dropped and where they have stopped dropping. And siege tank going to be coming on in. Yeah, honestly, I don't even think it's worth it to try and kill this base. That's about to mine out, so Cure just trying to find as much damage as he possibly can. Don't leave here. I don't know. Hold that thought, though. Cure takes an anti-armor missile to the face, and now BYUN is going to push his way through, taking a huge supply lead. Got to be careful, though, not to run into the siege tank wall. That is how you drop your siege tank wall. I just heard a battlecruiser. Yeah, a pretty big battlecruiser warping right there. Not really going to be too useful, as it did get shut down the second it popped in. Now, BYUN still has that position established. Yeah, I think BYUN is just slowly but surely able to win out on this one, as long as he doesn't make any big mistakes. He's got the bank. Like, Jesus Christ, 6K in the bank. And so he will be able to remax right here on pretty much whatever he wants. Cured plummeting in that supply cap. He's going to have to get on top of the production as soon as humanly possible, which, I mean, he will, but this is almost a last-ditch effort. Even then, he's not really getting what he needs to target down here. He's getting rid of the orbitals, but mules aren't really the name of the game at all anymore. Every unit is so valuable. The Ravens as well going to drop the missile turrets. He will focus fire those down. But now the battlecruiser is going to clean that up. GG is called. Beckett Industries. This is one of the things that I really harp on the most in a Terran matchup. I know it gets kind of annoying, but look at those walls. Every single third base you're going to try and take on this map, you are going to get punished for. Like, badly. So the first player to kind of get that soft contain in, I think will be able to kind of take the game. Now, that's being a little bit too quick to judge, but I seriously think that's how it's going to go, because I'm sure these guys don't want to do another 30-minute game and get into that Raven build, so there's certainly going to be some shenanigans in the mid-game. Maru versus Rogue in the GSL Finals. Oh, yeah, that is going on right now, isn't it? I'm going to go Maru 4-3. That one will go all 7 games if Rogue is on form. Which, to be honest, Rogue has been so on form recently, it's not even funny. But speaking of on form, we do see Cure forming an attack. These guys are going to meet out in the middle of the map. Or actually just go right around each other, looking to cancel the natural CC, which is kind of mirrored almost perfectly for both sides. Yeah, if BYUN wants to make this worth it, he does need to focus fire down those SCVs. He needs to get a little bit of extra damage. Denying the natural is pretty good, and now trying to get a little bit of a scout. I'd say that was okay. He didn't really lose too much, but now he's got to be very careful as Cure has full map control with these units. Not using it, though, I gotta say. So now, it looks like both sides are just gonna be powering up as the naturals are established for both. We see that Raven coming in, all bog standard stuff, nothing too crazy. Although this drop can turn a couple heads. Ooh, especially if Cure isn't paying attention. His units are really far out of position for this. Maybe sync up with an attack over there. And there we go. Drops on in the SCVs. A couple are pulled. But after the lock on, he is going to just get on out of there. And that's one of the things about Beckett Industries, is just the fact that this is really the only dead space on the map. So as long as you're able to cover that position, Doom drops really aren't going to be as effective. So that's why I kind of suggest in this matchup, or really any matchup versus Terran, you take this location. Because taking that just means that your reinforcements are going to be right there. And just be able to kind of pick off any sort of crazy stuff like that. Like, exactly like this. You know, you put a Cyclone there, nothing's getting through that. BYUN taking my advice. While Cure does not have a third in sight. Kind of take a look at the unit supply tab here. 10 Marines, 2 siege tanks, and that Cyclone. I'm keeping an eye out for the third base. Like that's going to be the key indicator for me here, whether he's just going to go all in or not. Okay, so he is positioning himself, posturing. The Ravens are a little bit out of position here. He is able to unsiege the siege tank, so he will be able to back that up, and it's going to go right into Cure's forces. Oh, the pathing humanity. And now BYUN is cut off from his natural. The Ravens will go down without any sort of energy. Kjur will back off, but now he has full control of this one. The auto turrets can drop whenever he wants. A little bit of a misclick on that position. Does he not have it available? Looks like he's saving up that energy as 8 workers going down. Oof, maybe being a little bit too aggressive with the Raven and the Vikings. He will lose air presence, but again, he is just inching his way forward. BYUN has to clean this up soon, or he knows he's dead. Gonna get a couple of volleys off, and he will be able to clean up that siege tank. The Vikings gonna do what they can. The Raven survives. Oh my gosh, drop a mule, keep it alive. But yeah, Kjur is not gonna get this launch anytime soon, it looks like. As both of the Vikings going down, and now Kjur just slowly inching his way forward. Scan gonna go down, revealing that the siege tanks have not moved on the low ground, so he is free to bring the reinforcements in. And here we go. The SCVs are pulled, but the focus fire is good. Kjur gonna go for the kills there. 12 workers have died, and so many siege tanks have gone down. So finally being able to clean that up. 12 workers, 10 Marines, and a siege tank are the cause of that. And now BYUN is down 20 workers. 20. That's about half of the cakes Lex Luthor stole. Hashtag old meme reference. So now Kjur is just building up every single advantage that he can. He's getting that extra production to spend his money. He's getting his upgrades so much quicker. Combat shield +1/+1. He should drop down an extra factory here relatively soon as well. His economy is just booming versus this. And now, the biggest thing for BYUN, he's not sacrificing his army or his air presence. He still has 6 Vikings out on the field in order to kind of keep himself good to go. We also see he's going to try the same deal, as Kjur is not prepared for it, but this does get scouted. So he will be able to siege up in a much more aggressive position. Now BYUN just rotating around. That is nowhere near where you want to go into. That is literally a siege tank heaven. It looks like BYUN going to take a pretty good fight in the air. Currently 5-6. Excuse me, as Kjur. I'm just going to kind of go around, you know. That's the thing about siege tanks. You can't just go around them, and sometimes that's the best thing to do. Oh no, BYUN doesn't have any defense on this third base. And he will be able to start cleaning up that siege tank line, but most of his attention has got to be here. 17 more workers and going straight into the main base. There are a couple of units here to defend, but it's just not enough. He's starting to lose that air presence as well, but Kjur not paying attention, losing quite a few of the Marines. Wow. So from here, Kjur is just extremely outproducing his opponent in almost every single way. He has his 4th base up and morphing into a planetary. The siege tanks are trying to find a way around, but they don't really have a lot of Marine support now linking up with the main army. Like, that's kind of the only thing BYUN has going for him right now, is the fact that he does have a bit of a smaller army. Imagine tank with afterburner. Oh my god, man. Like, you're reminding me of Tankovac all over again. Now Scan going to go down. BYUN just looking for the perfect angle to engage. If he takes a bad fight, it is over for him. His +2 upgrades are just so delayed, so far behind Cures as well. He will be able to get the base. I really like that. His own 4th base is gone up. But just really, how much further can you push into this without air control? Especially with Cure going for just the very humongous counterattack here. A very quick kill on that 4th, and even just deciding, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to move forward. Takes a couple of volleys right there, but it is worth it for him to get that base. And now going to reposition himself away from that tank line. They are not in range, but he is in range of that natural. And he will take full control of that using the siege tank. Friendly fire against his opponent. BYUN is saying right now, I have to go. I have to do some counter damage right the living heck now. And I mean, counter damage, he will get supply blocking Cure, who is now down to 2 bases. So that once roaring economy is absolutely decimated. The siege tank line is pretty good. The Liberators doing what they can, but they will get cleaned up. Went a little bit too far forward. And now what looked to be a fantastic position for Cure, I don't know. He's surrounded on all sides. If BYUN wanted to, he could go straight for the main base, and Cure, even recognizing that, is going to send a large chunk of his Marines back at home. The SCVs are pulled to tank some of that damage, but the supply is starting to plummet. Now Cure having to defend on 3 different fronts. Siege tank's moving a little bit too far forward, as we see a big counterattack right now. Oh, man, those Marines are so weakened. They are behind the mineral line. The siege tanks are not sieged up. He is taking huge fights there. Or he's taking huge bites out of that army. But now losing his most forward siege tank. As we see, Cure is just deciding, saying he's got to go for it. Leaving these siege tanks behind was such a bad deal for him. Once again, BYUN did it. He did it again. This is kind of his signature move at this point. He got armor before attack. But, I mean, at the end of the day, doesn't even matter. Cure supply is down almost 30. A good concave mean he's going to take the best engagement he can. Is BYUN. The siege tanks not going down all the way, however. He does get a kill on the base. So Cure needs to kill these engineering bays. He needs to deny that +3 because he does not have a +3 of his own on the way. That was a bit of a mistake, losing so many Marines there. BYUN up over 40 supply. He's going to drop right on top of the siege tank. Says Cure. Making the best of everything that he has. That SCV count is getting decimated, but a good concave there is going to clean up that siege tank line, and now Cure, below 100 supply, is getting absolutely destroyed here. BYUN found the perfect position. He has this. How many racks are there? Oh my god, he lost all his racks. That's GG. Like, I hate to say it, but I think BYUN has done it. There's almost no mining going on. Taking a look at that income graph. Taking a look at that production. Cure is just doing everything he can to stay alive. But losing all of these Marines. BYUN can now attack on both fronts. Just send a couple of siege tanks over to the 4th base. Shut that down. And also, don't lose your siege tanks to the Liberator. He does lose 1 for almost free. Well, not almost free, for free. And now Cure does have a little bit of a window. He will have his +3 attack and armor much, much quicker than BYUN, who did get his canceled. The attack upgrade for the siege tanks as well, helping him out a bit. Trying to dive on top of that tank line, but it is all a distraction. BYUN, it looked like he wanted to attack, but not going to do so. I mean, this is kind of a bit indecisive here. I feel like if he would have been a little bit more decisive, gone for that surround, he might have just been able to close the game out right then and there. But I mean, hindsight is 20/20. BYUN just continuously repositioning himself. The siege tanks getting 1 volley off before they fall back. We do have a drop potentially geared up with these medevacs in the top, and Cure doesn't really have a ton of units to defend multiple locations, as you can kind of see. The siege tanks, though, finding a really good spot, and with that air control, here we go. BYUN is going for the kill. The siege tanks are dead. The base is dead, and Cure's economy is gone. After what was a very weak start to the series, going down 2-0, BYUN is just looking to close things out. It's a bit of a base race situation now. The rest of Cure's army is ready and raring to go. But BYUN just going to say, you know what? I can send small forces here and there. If you try and reinforce this, you're dead. Even if you somehow get a really good engagement, it is not going to be enough. Now, the one thing going for him is those +3 upgrades, which just now complete. I think BYUN totally forgot about them. But Cure is retreating. He recognizes that he should not overextend. He just needs to keep the pressure on, though. Oh no, the Liberators, man. The Liberators are going to be the star of the show, I feel. Losing the medevacs is a really big deal, and now not able to defend the workers at the top. 2 more will go down. Taking a couple of volleys to the face right there. Cure getting about the best engagement he can, but he's taking so much damage. Once again, he's just going to find this location. It is an orbital. BYUN does not want to lose here. But here we go. He's going to dive in. I gotta say, I thought, like, I still think BYUN is a little bit ahead, but if he loses this base, I'm not so sure anymore. It's not focus firing it down. It does survive. The siege tanks will die from the flank in the backfield. There we go. He does get it in the end. And the supplies are actually looking a whole lot more even. What the heck is going on in this game? I think it's going to come down to the tank count here. Cure is down to his last 3 tanks without the ability to make more effectively. One thing to note, and this is pretty important, is that neither side is really prioritized the armory upgrades. So these siege tanks aren't going to be as effective as they usually would. You're going to need more volleys. But here we go. BYUN getting the first couple of shots. A little bit late to pull his units. The supplies are plummeting for both sides. It's currently 53 Marines to 37. Looks like we're on another bit of a stalemate as those supplies just plummeting. Oh my god, are we gonna go down to the wire here? It looks like it. The last couple of siege tanks are starting to fall. BYUN getting the better of his opponent here, and I think we finally have done it, guys. Losing the medevacs, losing the rest of his units. 27 Marines to 9. Oh my goodness. Just close it out. There you have it. GG.